So yeah, it takes a lot of work. It's a team effort. So from like my parents just like making sure that I'm on schedule and that I'm like, taking my supplements that they would give me and making sure like, I'm eating properly and they're making my meals, and then we go to practice. And so at practice, my coach, Coach Mack, was one of my coaches. He was really, really good. That was like one of my favorite coaches.
Was he your high school coach?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he would
Is
actually
he still there,
talk,
by the way? Is he still in?
No,
Okay, gotcha.
I think he's somewhere in Dallas. Or
What's his first name? Is it Mac?
Oh, Coach Alex too.
Coach Alex. Okay.
Coach Alex and Coach Dale.
Coach Dale.
He played at UTEP. He ran at UTEP.
Would you know their names, or their first names and last names, if you could remember, or is it just Mac?
I think it's Coach McGorder. Coach McGorder.
McGorder. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay. And then the other one, Coach Alex. What was his name? Do you remember?
Coach. I just call him Coach Alex.
Coach Alex. You know what? My coach, I call him Coach Bobo. I still call him Coach. You know what? I have to think hard that I have to call him Ed Bobo. He was my wrestling coach. He was a good guy. He was a good spiritual guider too. So nonetheless, in terms of your spirituality and your coaches, tell me a little bit about how that connected and helped you support you through the process of, your high school dynamics.
So my faith is very important to me. I think that it helps guide me and keep me on track. So when things get tough, you just have to just sometimes pray that that's all you can do and just be patient and trust the process. So everything that I was going through, I was working and doing the best that I could, but at the same time, I was hoping that God was wanting the same thing, because sometimes it's not what you want, but it's the proper timing. So I knew that if I did everything that I could and then just had faith and just did all I could and just believed, then I would be okay. And so that's pretty much all I did, was what I could do, and then prayed that, God would take care of the rest. So that's
beautiful. In terms of your family and the support structure you had around you, how did that work out? Because I know mom must have been your doctor, your clinician, your nutritionist, making sure your packages are ready, everything, the bag, and you got to get out by 6 in the morning and all that. Tell me a little bit about how mom played and her particular, let's say, experience in nutrition affect you, because you do have a nutrition degree, and we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. But how did your parents come together in terms of nutrition? And the reason I ask is specifically because I want parents to understand that nutrition plays one of the critical roles in your developing athlete. So there are parents that want to push, but they don't understand that component. So that's pretty much one of the most important components, along with the dynamics we're speaking of. But talk to me about the nutrition mom helped you kind of detail through life.
So there was like a tight schedule that we had. So we would wake up and breakfast would be ready. So
good.
Before we headed out the house, my parents would, I don't know how they would do that now that I'm an adult. They would make time, they would have our breakfast. So we had a good meal, like with all the components of the nutrients that you need to be a champion. They call it breakfast of champions. So it was like everything from protein to carbs to the vitamins. We always made sure that we cooked. And so that was something that I actually maybe took for granted, because it's really important to have healthy meals. And so your body is rejuvenated and getting the proper nutrients it needs in order to perform. And so we for the most part would cook at home. Mm-hmm. We would go out maybe a few times, but for the most part, we would be cooking healthy, whole foods. We really didn't eat like preservatives, junk food, like every now and then, but it wasn't a thing. My mom would pack our lunches when we were like, younger and stuff like that. And then, just instilled like what it was to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. And then supplements was also something that was incorporated as well. in high school. So
So, no Takis for you? No those
oh no, no hot
Doritos?
chip.
No, no.
No.
What would you recommend? What would you tell the student who's an athlete? Let's just talk about an athlete who has a bag of Takis or Doritos. I mean,
don't eat that before you run or compete or have a game. That is probably not the best thing. But we would have they would bring fruits like oranges, watermelon. We would have apples, like dried fruit, trail mix. We would have granola bars. We would have yogurt. We would have bananas, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, stuff that you can easily digest that will give you energy. The sports drinks, stay hydrated, water, lots and lots of water. Pretty much, yeah, those. It's not like anything crazy. You just want to make sure that you have those things and you're just doing them on a consistent basis. So
developing through high school and getting the accolade how did you feel when you were in your senior, when you won state? Is that when you won state? Is that correct?
Yeah, it was my senior year. And I had broke records. So I still have the record that's still at Chapin.
What is that one?
The state record. It was the school record in the hurdles. So it was the 300 hurdles and the 100-meter hurdles. And
nice.
Yeah, no, we did the 4x1, but we didn't get that as the team.
I when I went to school, I had some good track starts. It was like Benny Blades, Brian Blades, Michael Irving. These are guys that were back in my era. And you know what? It does feel good when you go to your high school and you see those banners and those records, because you will be able to go back and, whenever time permits, and if you choose to have kids, you'll be able to show, and the mom's up there. It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Let me ask you some other questions. In terms of nutrition, what made you decide to pursue a nutrition degree? And tell me a little bit about your ascent into Penn State. Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
So I really did a lot of research on just nutrition. I was just interested in that subject because I think it was because I always watched and I understood that what I put in my body affected how I felt. And there was some times where I wasn't feeling the best, my stomach, I would have indigestion, or I just wasn't feeling well, or, so it was more of a personal reason. I wanted to understand what food am I putting in my body that's affecting me in the way that I'm feeling. And so just wanting to learn more about nutrition and how it affects the body and how it can heal and help you perform and just know more about it. So that's kind of why I was interested in nutrition, and I liked science, so I was like, I think that's what I want to.
Let me ask you, now that you were in college, and we're going to travel a little bit in college bit, I want you to tell me a little bit about your schedule in terms of school and the competitions and practice. Was that difficult for you, and how did you handle that?
So yeah, we were going from high school where I was on the top and I was feeling good, and then you have so many different you're dealing with being away from your family, being alone. So now you are a mini adult. You're kind of responsible in this little world, and you have these responsibilities, and you're going to classes. You're doing study hall. You have dining commons where you have to go eat. You have meetings with as a team where you guys talk team stuff, team goals. And then you're practicing, so you're sore, and then you're trying to stay healthy and then manage everything. And then you also have to, when competition season comes around, you are, expected to, stay on top of your work while you're doing this, but also travel and then compete at the level that we expect you to, because you are here to represent our team. And so, yeah, it's just, first, it was a little bit overwhelming because I would barely make it through the workouts and I would be dying. I would be hiding in the corner, and then coach would be like, get over here. And then it was intense.
How was the coach? How was the coach in Penn State, or how were the coaches in Penn State?
They were really good. So I had made my official visit, and it was between the top two. It was Florida Gators, or it was Penn State. Those are my
Florida
top
Gators.
two.
Well, that's where I'm from, Florida.
Yeah.
My brother went to University of Florida, Gainesville. Yes. You've got talent there. There's a lot of talent there.
There's a lot of talent in Florida.
Yeah. So let me ask you, in terms of your coaches, who do you remember made the biggest impact in your life?
It would have to be the coach that recruited me my freshman year. So that was Chris Johnson. He was the coach that recruited me. He got me faster. He mentally challenged me. and he allowed me to be able to get to world champion junior Olympics. And he would always like talk to my dad and like tell me like, Evonne, she's doing good, but I want her to work on this. Or he would be talking to my dad all the time if there was like something that he, I don't know, wanted to tell him. So then
Well,
my dad would talk to me.
I got to tell you, right off the bat, you know what? You had a great coach. One of the things as parents, and myself, a parent of an athlete, I wanted to get close. I wanted to, but there's not a place for a dad in that area. I found that to be very rewarding when the coaches would allow you to be close to your child, or at least be in the conversation. So that was amazing. Now, I realize that you're very tight with your family. But how did you deal with the psychology of the sport in terms of how did it affect you, and what did you have to? What were your dragons you had to slay in order to go to the next level?
Yeah, so track is like such an individual sport, and I think any sport is like that. You have to really focus on yourself and be in like this little bubble where you're, I guess like the zone they call it, where you're just all about you and you don't care about anybody else. Sometimes you can get intimidated, or you're not confident. And those little voices and that doubt, it really affects your performance, because you can train all day as hard as you want. But if you get on the line and you feel that you're not ready, or you don't trust that you've done your training properly, or that, you're just ready, then that can really throw you off just like that.
Evonne, how did you handle that? How did you handle those moments when you had doubt in yourself? And talk to, I guess, the individuals or the kids out there that want to pursue, and they're having some, demons to deal with,
Yeah.
and that thought process shows up at the wrong moment. How would you
Right.
recommend them handling it?
I would say it happens. It happens. It's natural, but don't let that moment control your future. So what I mean by that is like if you feel that doubt or that creeps in your mind, that's totally fine. There was some times where I like false started, or I like fell over the hurdle, and then now I'm like scared to hurdle. But like you have to know that you can do it, and so you just have to move forward. Don't think about the past and like dwell in that, and be all like have a sob story. Like you are not that important. Like there's more people doing more things. So you need to realize that like if you want to do it, you can do it. The only way you will be able to accomplish that is if you keep trying, because you can only get better. And so you just have to keep moving forward.
Who was the coach that helped you with the mind thinking? Because I think that's one of the most important parts of the training. Who was the one that, or who were the people around you, and what happened?
Yeah. So mentally, there was a sports psychologist that we had at Penn State, and he would talk about like just how to like get into the zone, or have a routine, or how to pump yourself up, or
Do you remember
talk
that?
to yourself.
Do you remember
and I don't really remember that.
Okay.
That was the thing. He would say those things, but it didn't really start to click until after, like later, like maybe my senior year of college, or after I graduated. And it was just from reading a book. I don't know. There was like this book that I had read. It's called The Mental Edge.
Okay.
And then also just talking to my family, and them like just saying like, yeah, you've been running for a while, and so you're at the level now where you know what you need to do. You just need to be able to execute and be able to do that. So then I just realized like, I can do it. So you just need to know that you can do it. You are capable.
Evonne, what was the happiest, or not the happiest, but let's say what the moment that you remember the most in Penn State in terms of competition?
Okay, Penn State in terms of competition. Because there was a few. So the first one.
Tell me one, any one that you think
It would
is
have
good.
to be my first international competition that I went to in Canada, where I won here in the U.S. in both the 100 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. So I made it in both of those events to go to the Junior Olympics in Moncton, Canada, and that was my first international competition that my parents went to with me, and it was fun.
It was a good moment, huh?
That was a good moment.
Well, I'll tell you what. I wanna get. There's so much to talk to you about, because from physiology to even the sport itself, and we'll do it on further podcasts. But I want to get through the the dreams of where you're going with your sport, and where do you see yourself going in the next in let's say the next chapter in your life?
So I think I have like a good Olympics and then another Olympics because it's every 4 years, and normally I think that's how people like train, but we'll see how it goes. Because track is it's a lot on your body, especially the hurdles, mentally, physically, emotionally, because like relationships and stuff like that you have to manage. But I see myself like training for this Olympics, and my goal is to make the team and be on the Olympic
When is the
team.
next Summer Olympics? When is it?
It will hopefully be in 2021 July. So
Nice.
in Tokyo.
In Tokyo. All right. So we're heading out there. Well, I'll tell you what. That is amazing to be able to be talking to you personally. It's an honor to speak with you, because though you don't think maybe you're that cool, but there's a lot of people that think you're cool. So we got to get that story out. Tell me a little bit about your preparation for that next stage.
So the Olympics,